What if, in a single night, the unthinkable happened, turning trusted borders into question marks and myths into memories? Months of careful planning, layered defenses, and confident predictions were all undone by one strike few saw coming. Near Kherson, Russian airborne troops landed with surgical precision, blindsiding Ukrainian forces and rewriting the rules in mere hours. Panic set in fast. Ukrainian units abandoned vehicles, supplies, and even command posts as their lines buckled. Chaos rippled outward, reaching Kiev and beyond, while dramatic footage of Russian paratroopers seizing key sites spread across the internet and shocked the world. Everyone believed Ukraine's southern defenses were unbreakable. Yet, in less than 24 hours, that faith collapsed. Not from sheer numbers, but from surprise and speed. This was not just a territorial gain. It was a psychological earthquake that challenged military doctrines and exposed vulnerabilities. Ignore the power of shock and surprise, and you risk missing the early tremors of conflicts that can redraw maps and rewrite futures. To understand how this moment reshaped the war, we need to trace the steps leading up to that fateful night. Everything changed when the first helicopters crossed the river. How does a single city become both the heart of strategy and the soul of a nation's resistance? For months, Kherson was considered invulnerable, a bastion perched on the right bank of the Dnipro River. Ukrainian and Western leaders repeated a single message. Kherson was secure, its defenses unbreakable, its spirit unyielding. This was not just empty rhetoric. Kherson was the gatekeeper to Mykolaiv, to Kryvyi Rih, and to the very heart of Ukraine. Whoever held Kherson commanded the main arteries leading deeper into the country. Lose it, and the floodgates would open, not merely for enemy troops, but for the unraveling of supply lines and entire defense strategies. For long, grinding months, the frontier stagnated. Both armies, supported by their allies, braced for a war of attrition, slow, predictable, and deadly. Western strategists expected positional battles, routine artillery duels, and little movement. All signs pointed to change coming gradually, if at all. Then, everything cracked in a single, shocking moment. In the space of just a few hours, Russian airborne forces landed near Kherson, executing a bold and unexpected assault. It was not simply a tactical maneuver. It was a psychological shockwave. Ukrainian defenders, caught off guard, faced an enemy where none should have been. Smoke curled above the city as defensive lines wavered, and the illusion of safety disintegrated almost instantly. This is the peril of complacency. When leaders trust in static lines and old assumptions, they risk missing the thunderclap of asymmetric warfare, a single blow turning stability into chaos. Kherson's fall was not only a loss of territory, it was a warning. In modern war, the balance of power can tilt with terrifying speed. But what exactly happened in those critical hours? And why did the consequences echo from Kherson to Kiev and far beyond? To grasp the full impact, we must break down the operation itself, moment by moment. Only then can we understand how one daring move rewrote the rules of the Southern Front. What made this Russian strike near Kherson so devastating was not just brute force, but the speed, shock, and psychological terror unleashed in a single night. Russian airborne units landed almost simultaneously at several unexpected points. They seized bridges and key roads before Ukrainian defenders could regroup or even comprehend the scale of the assault. With radio silence, night maneuvers, and a lethal mix of drones and swift assault teams, Russia executed a classic asymmetric attack. Instead of prolonged artillery exchanges, the attack came from above and in darkness. Within hours, Russian flags appeared atop official buildings, unmistakable signs of new control. Ukrainian units, stunned and unprepared, retreated rapidly. Command posts, armored vehicles, and supply depots were abandoned as the front unraveled not only from firepower, but from cascading confusion and the sudden belief that resistance was futile. For local officials, the psychological blow was immediate. Panic swept through government offices. Territorial defense units fled, sometimes leaving uniforms and gear scattered in the streets. Western intelligence agencies, slow to react, issued hesitant statements as disbelief gave way to grim realization. This was far more than a tactical win. It was a psychological operation that shattered Ukrainian and Western confidence alike. The rapid loss of command, broken communications, and the enemy's sudden presence inside supposedly secure zones turned a military defeat into a crisis of morale. The lesson is stark. Speed and surprise can devastate as thoroughly as missiles or tanks. Once morale cracks and leaders hesitate, even the strongest lines can collapse in mere hours. Underestimating shock and initiative is a mistake that no military or political system can afford. But the consequences did not stop at Kherson. In the days that followed, ripple effects spread across the southern front, reshaping strategies on both sides. How can a single, precisely timed airborne assault threaten not just a city, but an entire regional order? In mere hours, Russian forces near Kherson flipped the battlefield, driving Ukraine back and exposing deep fractures in Western resolve. Western capitals hesitated, their confusion and muted responses betraying fears that the balance of power was shifting faster than they could react. Confidence cracked, not only on Ukraine's front lines, but in the West's own assumptions about deterrence and escalation. On the ground, the risks were even starker. If Russia managed to entrench and expand from this new bridgehead, it could sever the crucial NATO supply arteries flowing in from Mykolaiv and Odessa. These routes are the backbone of Ukraine's southern defense. Their loss could collapse the region's ability to resist. This was not just about capturing territory. Russia's assault marked a doctrinal turning point. Traditional airborne maneuvers fused with rapid intelligence and surgical surprise. The old grinding offensives were replaced by a swift, asymmetric strike that shattered both defensive plans and Western expectations. The fallout was as psychological as it was military. Panic swept through communities, their sense of safety dissolving as the threat of encirclement loomed. Fear now spread faster than any frontline advance, corroding public morale and threatening to destabilize government control. If these vital supply lines or alliances buckle, the entire Western security structure in Eastern Europe could unravel. What once seemed immovable now hangs by a thread, a reminder that a single, expertly executed operation can redraw the region's map and upend the foundations of alliances. With the southern front teetering, every move became a test of resolve and adaptability. As Ukraine scrambled to respond, the broader world watched, uncertain what new dangers the next hour might bring. What if victory in war no longer belongs to the side with the most soldiers, but to those who break the rules of the battlefield? Kherson's dramatic collapse sent shockwaves through every military headquarters. The future belongs to those who seize the moment and adapt before their enemies can even respond. It was not brute strength that shattered the lines, but shock, speed, and relentless unpredictability. In Kherson, the ability to move and improvise counted for more than the thickest fortifications or the largest formations. As Ukrainian troops abandoned their posts, it became unmistakable. No barricade matters if your adversary is already within your perimeter. Today, psychological blows can devastate as surely as artillery. Fear, confusion, and chaos ripple through ranks faster than any shell, breaking chains of command, sapping morale, and emptying trenches before a single shot is fired. When images of deserted gear and burning trucks flood the internet, defeat takes root in the mind long before it appears on the map. The lesson for future wars is clear. Flexibility, intelligence, and rapid action will outpace raw numbers every time. The side that blends swift attacks, information dominance, and psychological shock will tear through even the strongest defenses. Massed armies and fixed lines are relics if they cannot keep up with a faster enemy. No fortification, no matter how imposing, is truly secure if belief and cohesion collapse. Kherson proves that morale is the first and most vital defense. When it breaks, steel and concrete do not stand a chance. Ignore these warnings, and nations risk humiliation and defeat by a quicker, smarter rival. The era of slow, predictable wars is gone. Now, victory belongs to those who outthink and outmaneuver at every turn. In the aftermath of Kherson, a new question haunts every capital. How do you defend against a threat that rewrites the rules as it goes? The answer may decide not just the fate of armies, but the future of entire regions. In the new era of war, can you sense the shockwave before it breaks everything you counted on? The Russian airborne assault near Kherson was not just a tactical move. It ruptured Ukraine's confidence and revealed deep cracks in its southern defenses. One swift, precise operation sent fear racing from soldiers in the field to officials in Kyiv, and sent tremors through Western capitals. What changed? The rules. Power no longer relies on vast armies or long, grinding battles. Now, a single asymmetric strike can topple reputations, demolish doctrines, and put entire nations on the defensive, sometimes before anyone knows the game has changed. Remember how quickly traditional analysis became useless in Kherson? How rapidly psychological shock undermined not only strategy, but trust in alliances and the strength of critical supply lines. If a region's future can turn in a moment, are you ready to rethink what safety and preparedness mean? Are your defenders still planning for slow, predictable wars, or are they alert to the new tempo and shocks of modern conflict? The old playbooks are not just obsolete, they endanger you. Survival now depends on anticipating not just enemy action, but the surprise blows that can upend entire systems overnight. Your sense of security, reputation, and preparedness is on the line. Stay ready for the next shock.